The Insider, a behind-the-scenes look at the entertainment and sports industries with the leaders and influencers that impact them. On this episode, we sit down with Jerry Solomon, President and CEO of StarGames. For the past 35 years, Jerry has been an agent, a television producer, and a creator of major sports events. His latest venture is the Aurora Games, a first-of-its-kind sports and entertainment festival featuring world-class competition in women's tennis, gymnastics, basketball, figure skating, ice hockey, and beach volleyball.
Today we are here with Jerry Solomon, the President and CEO of StarGames, a legend in sports business, providing athlete representation, producing live events, producing television. Tell me, Jerry, a little bit about your career.
Oh boy, it's been a lot of fun. Had an opportunity to work with some of the greatest athletes of all time. Have had a chance to see the world and also to create a lot of different things. And I think the opportunity to create things has been probably the most interesting and challenging part of the whole thing.
Well, and that's what brings us here today. Your latest venture, you created this new platform, the Aurora Games. Why don't you tell us a little about what that's all about?
You know, having been in the business for as long as I have been, I've worked with some of the best male athletes in the world and some of the best female athletes in the world. And I've also been involved in putting on a lot of different events for female, male athletes and combined events. And throughout that period of time, we've seen the women's side of sports grow and contract and have all kinds of questions about how it's going to get to whatever the next level is. And again, I've had the great opportunity to work with people like Jackie Joyner-Kersee and Janet Evans and Shannon Miller and my wife and other figure skaters. And I've learned a lot from watching them. And I see how great these female athletes are. And they're working every bit as hard as the men. And in watching the 2016 Olympics from Rio, I realized that there were more women on the U.S. Olympic team than men for the first time ever. I thought they were doing better, but as usual, they were getting less of the coverage. And I just thought that it was time for a standalone, big-time women's sports event that was international in scope, multiple sports, and to give the female athletes an opportunity to stand on their own and have the focus be totally on them. And that's how we got to the Aurora Games.
So now that's 2016, 3 years ago. Tell me about the next 3 years of getting to the point where you are now, which is a month and a half out from the actual event.
Yeah, so it's been a crazy ride, but I think first and foremost is you have to go back to 2016. In the summer of 2016, we were sitting there thinking that we had a female head of state in Great Britain and a female head of state in Germany and a female head of state in other parts of the world, and thinking that there was a very good chance that the President of the United States was going to be a woman with Hillary Clinton. And so it was sort of with that looking forward, thinking that the timing would really be perfect for this kind of thing. Little did we know, obviously, that things were going to happen so differently, and in some cases, making the environment that much even better for what it is that we're trying to do. Not that this is a political statement at all. This is really a sports statement and a sports event for female athletes. But it has gotten caught up in that whole environment that is out there anyway. But for me, it's been sort of, in some ways, sort of an amalgamation of everything that I've done over the years, because I'm talking to people who have been in the sports business for many years, but I happen to have crossed over a lot of different sports. I would say most people in our industry, they are in a particular sport. So if you work in tennis, you probably don't work in figure skating. And if you work in basketball, you probably don't work in ice hockey. So it's been an opportunity for me to bring together a lot of people who have not really worked together before, and they're in a lot of different disciplines. And it's been great to see the reaction, but it's also been, you know, a little bit like herding cats, because they're all going in different directions and they all have their own schedules and they all have their own sort of ways that they do things within their sport, and we're trying to marry it all up. So it's been a big challenge, but again, it's been a lot of fun and it's been pretty exciting up until now.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say this is probably the biggest event that you've produced ever, right? Most of your events are 1 day, 2 day, that kind of thing. This one's a 6-day event with, as you said, different sports each day. Tell me about some of the challenges and what you've dealt with over this, these last few years.
Yeah, so I mean, we've done tennis tournaments before, which are 7, 8, 9 days, but even that is a much more simplified version of what we're doing, because it's one sport. it's maybe a lot of players, but they're all tennis players. This is a matter of doing really 6 one-day events, all-star games, in 6 different sports, back to back to back. So you've got everything involved from the operations of turning the arena over from tennis on the first night to gymnastics on the second night and on through the whole 6 days, to bringing in athletes from all over the world in all of these different sports.
So now you've got a slew of huge names in women's sports involved, from people that are just working as advisors to some that are acting as coaches, and obviously the players. First of all, tell me about their reaction, a lot of their reactions to this idea, and also throw out some of the names, some of the people that are involved.
So the reaction has been, really across the board has been fantastic, starting with the first conversation I had with Chrissy Everett about it 2.5 years ago, where she turned to me and said, I think it's a great idea. I'm in, whatever you need me to do, to people like Nadia Comaneci and Jackie Joyner-Kersee, and, to get these people to become involved in something, they don't just attach their name to anything. They have to really believe in it. So, as I've said to some of our people, to have Jackie and Nadia as the honorary captains in the very first Aurora games, it's going to be downhill from here, because you really can't do any better than that. But I think that same feeling that has come across from them has come across from the athletes. So let's take Victoria Azarenka in tennis. She's a mom, she's a working mom, and when I brought this to her, she said, this is a great opportunity for me to support women around the world and show them that being a working mom has a lot of elements to it, and that we need to have our voices heard. And that same thing has been true from, a Haley Skarupa in hockey, who, the women in hockey are going through a lot of things right now in terms of where they're going to play and equal opportunities and all that. But for her to come in here and be part of it, an Olympic gold medalist who says, I want to be part of this because the Aurora Games has the chance to be something that goes on for a very long time, and for us to be there at the outset, that's important. We're setting the tone for the sport, for girls coming along in the future. So it's been that kind of reaction really across the board.
So 2 months out, final thoughts. Where you're feeling right now?
I feel like we're actually in pretty good shape, given all the different things that, this is a big puzzle with a lot of moving pieces, and the amount of television coverage that we have. ESPN has been phenomenal. We're live on ESPN for 6 consecutive days, 20 hours of live television. I think it's unheard of for a brand new event. So I feel like we're actually in pretty good shape, and I'm really hoping that the fans will come out and give this a lot of support, so that the environment in the Times Union Center is as electric as we can possibly make it, because then I think those athletes will put on an amazing show, and that will lift all of sports worldwide, men and women. So I hope that we will get that kind of enthusiasm from the fans.